What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Welcome into episode 192, everybody. I am your host, Sleazeball. Today's episode is going to be the Fantasy Football Championship Week 17 Top 36 Wide Receiver Rankings. I'm going to give you defense statistics. If I talk about two wide receivers, I'll break them both down. I'll break down the defenses against them, and I have a wild call at the end if you are bold enough to make it. I have no trust in it, but it's just a gut feeling, and that's what fantasy football is. Before we dive into it, guys, make sure you hit that like. Make sure you hit that subscription button. It helps me out a ton. Turn that bell on as well. I will be live tomorrow for a Christmas special stream before the 10 a.m. kickoffs. Our Christmas starts at 12. Merry Christmas to you. Happy holidays to your family. I'll drop my tight end rankings next, and I will have all my rankings out to you before Christmas tomorrow. So as you get those presents, you can also look at the rankings and get the present for the championship trophy this week. Let's dive into my wide receivers, guys. So if you guys are new to the channel, this is my wide receiver board for week 17. Baller tier at the top, must-start wide receivers. I'm not even going to really break down the defense of the must-start wide receivers. I will give you one of them that is one of my bold calls of the week. And then it's tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, tier 5. And you see Amari Cooper at the bottom right. Remember, I have a gut feeling call. I will talk about that at the very end, guys. Wide receiver 1 overall. Who else? It was always Jamar Chase no matter what. I'm also going to pull up T. Higgins because, man, it was T. Higgins week last week as well till they got that, free play for Jamar Chase to pop one off there. Cincinnati Bengals are fighting for their playoff life. They're going up against the Denver Broncos. They beat them. They're one game away. They would need the Chiefs to beat the Broncos again, or they need the Chargers to lose twice, and they can make it in. God, I want to see the Bengals make it, but I know the Chiefs will lose to the Broncos on purpose to keep, Joe Burrow and Jamar Chase and T. Higgins out. You'd rather face Bo Nix and you'd rather face Joe Burrow, so that's common sense there. Now, when you look at the Denver Broncos defense versus the wide receiver, they've been lights out. They rank 8th at 30.7, 127.6 yards, middle of the pack, 90% chance for one touchdown. I throw all that out the window. This is the Bengals offense. They are electric, absolute nightmare team to cover. Wide receiver 2, Justin Jefferson, his LSU brother right behind him. And let me get Jordan Addison, who's become a flex play weekly, found the end zone again. Sam Darnold loves these guys, and Sam Darnold has been absolutely lights out, man. Absolutely crazy here. So the Minnesota Vikings are going to get the Green Bay Packers in a monster game here. And Green Bay is very good versus the wide receiver. They are number 3. They give up 29.1. 23rd in the red zone, so touchdown upside is higher there. Only 128.8 yards allowed, which is top 5 and an 80% chance of a touchdown. Again, I do not care what Justin Jefferson. Jordan Addison, maybe you could temper your expectations a little bit here. Wide receiver number 3, Puka Nacua, and this is crazy. If you know me or you've been following my channel, I was as high as you could be on Cooper Kupp, and it's gotten ugly here, folks. Cooper Kupp has not had 2 good games in a row. Do not overlook it and bench this guy because all of a sudden he's going to win you a fantasy championship just like he did last year. Remember that? Everyone was down on Cooper Kupp, and he popped that 70-yard TD and won people a championship. The matchup versus Arizona, they're out of it now. Arizona, they might not have James Conner as well. Their defense got banged up last week. They're eliminated. They rank 17th versus the wide receiver, giving up 31.6, 30th in the red zone, so very high touchdown upside there. 144.1 yards they allow to the wide receiver per game, which is middle of the pack, and a 1.1 TD. I just think it's going to be a Puka Nacua game here, but Cooper Kupp is still a flexible play to me here, a low-end wide receiver 2. Number 4, man, Nico Collins, guys. This could be your wide receiver 1, literally. Baltimore Ravens, they're going up against right here. Christmas Day tomorrow. Ravens rank 30th versus the wide receiver, giving up 38.2 points, and we know Tank Dell just went down. I know they signed Deontay Johnson. I'm not buying that after 1 week, or I'm not buying that the rest of the season. He's been a locker room nightmare for people. They're 8th in the red zone, 171.9 yards allowed to the wide receiver, which is bottom 5, 1.1 TDs. Nico Collins is going to have to go absolutely nuclear here because Joe Mixon is going to struggle in the run game here. The Ravens are very good versus the run, so it's going to have to be a Nico Collins, Dalton Schultz game here. Number 5, Mike Evans, Big Mike, chasing the 11th year of 1,000 yards. Can he make it? I want to hear your thoughts in the comments. You're going to get the Carolina Panthers here. And the only worry I have with Mike Evans versus the Carolina Panthers is that they get gashed by the run so much. But I think at 8-7, they're going to lean on their big boy here, and Mike Evans is going to be a smash play this week. Now, this is my bold call of the week right here. This is why you subscribe to the channel, baby, just like Caleb Williams last week. Terry McLaurin is my wide receiver 6 on the week, and let me get into why. You're going up against the Atlanta Falcons. They're fighting for their playoff life here at 8-7 with the Bucs. Commanders 10-5. The Atlanta Falcons versus the wide receiver on the season. Guys, they rank 31st. They give up 38.3. They're dead last in the red zone. 158.8 yards they allow and 1.4 passing or wide receiver TDs, which is dead last. You know this guy's a 30% target share guy. People were scared to start him against Philly last week. I said start him last week against Philly. He absolutely showed out. This guy's a top 5 wide receiver, and people still ask questions about Terry McLaurin. This is going to be one of the best plays of the week. He is going to win you a fantasy football championship. Start Terry McLaurin this week. And yes, I am ranking him over. Are you ready for it? Amon-Ra St. Brown, I have at number 7. Going up against the San Francisco 49ers Monday Night Football. You're going to get the last laugh. The 49ers, though, versus the wide receiver guys, number 1. Only allowing 28.2 points. Only allowing 122.9 yards. That's number 1 as well. 80% chance for 1 touchdown. Yes, the Niners season is over. Will they still have a little grit fight in them? I hope they do. It's been a brutal season of injuries for us, man. But Amon-Ra, obviously, you're still a wide receiver 1 start here. Number 2. Oh, I forgot when I grabbed one player, I need to grab the other. As I'm talking about the game, I got Jameson Williams down here as well. Man, this guy's been balling out too. Jameson Williams has been climbing up my rankings, guys. I really thought that he was a boomer bust guy, and he's just become better than that. I have him at wide receiver 27 this week, and the Niners get gashed by chunk plays. He's a great flex play as well. And when I looked at the Bucs, I had a Buck 1-2. I missed him as well. Let me go back to Mike Evans here. I have Jalen McMillan. The touchdown streak continues. The rookie that I liked more than Jalen Polk, and I nailed that. He was better than him at Washington. And look what's happening. He's got the job since Godwin's gone down, and he's become a flex play weekly. And if you want to ride the TD streak, I'm not against it. And I also missed Devonta Smith here. Jesus. Devonta Smith had a bad week last week, and I do not like him that much this week again here. And with A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith here in this game, you're going to have to look at this like if Jalen Hurts is not out there, I'm dropping them down. I'm assuming Jalen Hurts is going to play in this game coming off a big loss last week. They still kind of have the bye locked up because you have the Lions and the Vikings who are in the same division, so they both can't get the bye, which is huge for the Eagles. So they're still going to be fighting for it. I expect Jalen to be out there. The Eagles are going to have their matchup versus the Dallas Cowboys. The Dallas Cowboys defense is shot. The Cowboys versus the wide receiver right now. They currently rank 24th, giving up 35.8 points, 11th in the red zone, 160.2 yards, which is bottom 10, and 1 touchdown a game. And you know Saquon's chasing that 2,000 yards too. He's like 180 yards away. So tough to look at it. Like if Kenny Pickett's out there, they're probably going to ride Saquon. If Jalen Hurts is out there, I'd say Devonta's a low-end wide receiver 3. A.J. Brown, obviously a wide receiver 1. But it could be a Saquon game too. So this one's very tough, because once those 2,000-yard talk starts popping, he's going to get fed. Wide receiver 9, the Iron Man fighting through the shoulder injury, CD Lamb. They're going to get the Eagles. It's a tough matchup all the way around. I don't care. CD Lamb's volume is phenomenal. The connection he's getting with Cooper Rush is better and better weekly. The Eagles rank 7th versus the wide receiver, getting up 30.1, 24th in the red zone, so a high touchdown upside there for CeeDee Lamb, 127.6 yards, and a 90% chance for 1 touchdown for a wide receiver. I mean, you could see Jalen Tolbert, he got 1. You could see Jalen Brooks. You could see Brandon Cooks. It's the CeeDee Lamb show. Do not worry. Wide receiver number 10, Tyreek Hill, found the end zone. Man, he lost like 7 to 8, 10-plus fantasy points to flags and nonsense against the 49ers game. And it really hurt him. And now you're probably not going to have Jalen Waddle out here again. I don't think they're going to rush him back. They're going up against Cleveland with DTR at quarterback. There's no update on Jameis Winston. If there is, change my thought a little bit maybe on rankings, but I'll get to that later in the week if he is named that. The Cleveland Browns versus the wide receiver guys, they rank 25th, giving up 35.9. They get gashed by chunk plays. They give up 157.7 yards, and they've given up the most 20-plus receptions on the season. That is what Tyreek does. 1.3 TDs they allow a game, which is second to last. They're a very good front seven versus the run, but they are not good versus the pass. Tyreek Hill is going to be an absolute smash play this week. And Jalen Waddle, make sure you're paying attention to the injury updates, because if Waddle is out there, I would put him about 20, around the Jordan Addison range. Moving on to the guy that just questions have to stop. The questions are done. I don't want to hear anymore. Should I be starting Brian Thomas Jr.? This guy is an absolute fantasy football stud. I mean, top 10 wide receiver. My co-host Big Draft Energy called this. He might even be a top 5 wide receiver when it's over. His volume is through the roof. Yes, Christian Kirk and Evan Ingram being out obviously helps his volume, but still, this guy's a go-getter. He can beat man coverage. He can beat zone. Absolute stud. Should have been drafted higher in the draft by other teams. They're going to get the Tennessee Titans this week. The Tennessee Titans are absolute shambles, but Mason Rudolph kind of fought last week for him with a little garbage time comeback. The Tennessee Titans versus the wide receiver. They rank second, but I throw it out the window. Look at last week. And look at, man, JT absolutely crushed them too. They give up 28.9. They give up 128.1 yards, which is top 5 as well, and an 80% chance of a touchdown. But the injuries have piled up. Their season is over. Throw those numbers out the window. BTJ is always a must start for the next 5 to 6 years. Wide receiver number 13, Malik Neighbors. Man, I just give this guy a QB. It's absolutely brutal. You get the pot of gold. The Indianapolis Colts are one of my defenses that are a pot of gold. So I have the Jacksonville Jaguars, the Indianapolis Colts as a pot of gold team. And the third pot of gold fantasy football team for me is the Carolina Panthers. So you start everyone against these guys. But you got Drew Lock at quarterback, which hurts. And you're going to look at the Carolina versus the wide receiver. Their numbers look better than they should. So it says they rank 12th, give up 31.4, 27th in the red zone because they obviously get scored on at will, 137 yards. But those numbers are skewed because they give up the last at everything against the running back. So Malik Neighbors, this is going to be a game where, Tyron Tracy's banged up. They're going to lean on him heavy, and he's going to have a big game here. Man, number 14, he's had 2 good matchups and just stayed with a floor play. Cortland Sutton, he gets another good matchup here against the Cincinnati Bengals. I mean, I want to throw him out there as a top, 12, top 2 tier wide receiver again, but it just hasn't been. The connection with Bo Nix has not been what it was in the middle of the season here. So the Bengals right now rank 11th, they get up 31.3. Obviously, they just had a great game where they blew them out against nobody, right? So their defense jumped up a lot. Then they give up, they're number 1 in the red zone. They have a very good front seven with Hendrickson, 142.9 yards they allow, which is the middle of the pack, and a 90% chance of a touchdown. You still got to like Cortland Sutton. It's just tough because it's been up and down, man. Moving on to number 15, the guy that's getting force-fed, and I cannot believe I have Garrett Wilson this low at 24. It's absolutely crazy to me. The New York Jets and Aaron Rodgers has said that he's going to play through his little MCL sprain. You have a very tough matchup with the Buffalo Bills. They're very, very good versus the wide receiver. They get beat mainly on the ground. So when you're looking at the Bills here, they rank 21st versus the wide receiver, 25th in the red zone. They drop there a lot on the season. 148.1 yards, middle of the pack, 90% chance of a touchdown. At Buffalo, Aaron Rodgers, I know he's banged up. He had a couple good games. I had him higher last week versus the Rams, didn't show up. He still feeds Devontae Adams at will. They're saying they want Garrett Wilson more involved. This guy's a superstar, man. They need to get this guy more involved. It absolutely drives me nuts. Heading down to the guy, Jay Season. Even DK Metcalf knows, man, that this is the Jay Season show. This guy, I had him as a breakout. I did not think that he would break out into a top 10 electric wide receiver. He looks like Jamar Chase 2.0. The way he runs his routes is so smooth. It's one of my favorite route runners to watch in the NFL. And his time is now, man. You're starting this guy no matter what for probably the next 3 to 4 years here. So Jay Season in the matchup here, the Seattle Seahawks are going to be fighting for their playoff life because the Rams got the win. They lost Kenneth Walker. We don't know if he's going to be out there. That might hurt them a little bit. They're going up against the Chicago Bears. This is a very good defense versus the wide receiver. They've been getting gashed by the run, which is the only reason I have Jay Season lower. So the Bears are number 6 versus the wide receiver, getting up 30 points. 143.8 yards, which is top 15, and a 90% chance of a touchdown for 1 touchdown for a wide receiver. And DK Metcalf, probably their big body red zone guy, but Jay Season, man, this guy's so electric. You got to start him every single week. Number 17, the rookie phenom Lad McConkey out of Georgia has just been an absolute stud in fantasy football. He was my favorite route runner coming out of the class. And when you link him with Justin Herbert, good things are just going to happen. He's had 5 straight games over 10 plus points, averaging 15 points in all 5 of those games. He's been absolutely phenomenal. He's been averaging about 8 targets a game. You get the New England Patriots. They rank 14th versus the wide receiver, giving up 31.4, 21st in the red zone. They also give up 145 yards a game, which is the middle of the pack, and a 90% chance of a touchdown. I love Lad McConkey this week. Definite wide receiver 2 flex play easy. Wide receiver number 18, he got banged up in the game. I do not have Darnell Mooney on here in my top 36 either. If you guys have a question about that, where would I put him or how would I look at him? I look at him as like a low wide receiver 3. Michael Penix looked at Drake London. It was the Drake London show until he kind of got banged up. I mean, Mooney didn't have anything going until about the second half. So, and they were blowing him out. So you do have a little banged up injury with him, so make sure you're paying attention to that. But he had 8 targets instantly in the game. It was crazy. It was Drake London drive every single time. So the matchup, you're going to get the Washington Commanders. Yes, they do love to cover single high over the top on the wide receiver 1, so it will be a little rougher for him. They rank 16th versus the wide receiver, get up 31.5. They give up 137.2 yards, which is top 10, and they give up 1.1 TD, so there's a very high touchdown upside in the red zone for him. Moving on to my guys who I smashed last week, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Caleb Williams. The Bears, this is not that matchup on a short week here. You're going to get the Seattle Seahawks. Their secondary, sorry, I got the hiccups. Their secondary is very good. The numbers are going to show that they're 22nd versus the wide receiver, 28th in the red zone, so it's tough. But they only give up 139.9 yards to the wide receiver, which is top 10. So they're very good, but when they get down to the red zone, they just let touchdowns go. So could DJ Moore or Keenan Allen find the end zone? Yes, but it's going to be a different volume game than it was last week. And why I liked Caleb Williams last week was because the Detroit Lions are just beat to shit across the board. So when you're looking at this game, this is more like a low-end wide receiver 2 game, mid wide receiver 2 for DJ Moore maybe in this game. Moving on to wide receiver 22, Zay Flowers. This is the highest I've ranked Zay in a long time because I think this is going to be a Zay game. I've been saying that he's a gadget wide receiver. I know he popped his shoulder a little bit. He's questionable. I think he's going to be out there. He'll probably practice Thursday or Friday. Make sure you're paying attention to the updates. But he got that deep bomb to save his day. He had a very ugly game going against Pitt. You're going up against the Houston Texans. The Houston Texans, this is their weak spot, man, is the wide receiver. Their front 7 is nasty. I mean, when you look at Henry, it's gonna be a rough game for Henry here. Yes, it's Derrick Henry. Could he get 100 yards in a TD? Yes, but this is one of the better matchups that Henry's going up against. So they give up 35.6 to the wide receiver, which is 23rd. They're 3rd in the red zone. Obviously, their front 7 is nasty. When the field shrinks, they lock it down. And they give up 154.5 yards, which is bottom 15, and a 1.3 chance for a touchdown, which is second worst. So, and they get beat by chunk plays, man. And they just lost Tank Dell. Hopefully Deontay Johnson can replace him there. I don't think he's going to do much. But Zay Flowers, if there's a time that I like him a lot as a wide receiver 2 flex play, this is that week. Moving on to my 49er banger, Deebo Samuel and Juan Jennings. I got him up here as well at 35. Deebo woke up. The worst part is you're playing the Detroit Lions, whose defense is shambles. Like I said, this is why I like Purdy. This is why I like Deebo. This is why I like Juan this week. But is he going to do it again? Do I trust him? I don't know, man. Garendo's going to be back out there. He probably won't see as much carries. He'd probably have to do more. He might get 1 or 2 carries in the backfield, and he'll probably have to do it with like gadget screen plays. But, man, he looked bullish. He looked like he was back in shape all of a sudden out of nowhere, and he looked like the Deebo of old. But it's just been too many games of not there to trust him. And the Detroit Lions defense is the most beat up team. They have 16 guys on IR, the most in the NFL. So everything is here for a smash play for the 49ers. I'm just putting Deebo down lower because the season's over, and I don't know how it's going to play out in this game, honestly. Oh, I skipped over one. My bad. So the revenge game for Calvin Ridley. You're going back to Jacksonville. The matchup is the best it could be. And I have a gut feeling that it's going to be more of a Ridley game than it's going to be a Chigakonkwo game because he's been targeting Chig like crazy. But Ridley still found a touchdown last week. The matchup was great. And Ridley's been a great play down the stretch here of just safe wide receiver 3 flex play. This week, he could have high upside. I just fear that Chig is getting 10 targets a game. And it's crazy how much Mason Rudolph loves Chigakonkwo. And when you're looking at the Jacksonville Jaguars, they're your fantasy football pot of gold. They're one of my 3 teams. They rank 28th. They give up 36.8, 174.3 pass yards, which is bottom 5, 1.1 TDs, which is tied for third last. You have to love Ridley. It's just, is he going to see the volume that like you want him to in a revenge game? Number 30, my guy is back. I don't know how much I trust him on his first game. George Pickens is going to make it back for the Christmas game tomorrow against the Kansas City Chiefs. Now, there's a couple ways to look at this. So the Kansas City Chiefs, I want to break this down double here. So the Kansas City Chiefs, they right now currently versus the wide receiver. I'm going to pull up both my charts. Hang on so you can see a double look here. So on the season, and I'm going to give you 2 looks here. On the season, they gave up 32.3. They're 31st in the red zone, so the touchdown upside is very high. But in the last 4 weeks, they're giving up 33.5. They've gotten worse, and they've given up more touchdowns. And Russell Wilson kind of clicking at a decent level. Don't love it. Don't hate it. First game back, though. You can flex him. Yes, I like him as a flex play. Definitely not a high-end wide receiver 2 like he normally is on his first game back. I can't do that. Number 32, Jaden Reed, and I think this could be a Jaden Reed game here. It's been tough. I'm still going to rank him ahead of Christian Watson and Romeo Doubs. He's got 11 points in the past 2 games. Gets a little rushing work. You always know he's going to take an end around every game here and there. But this is the Minnesota Vikings. This is a high over-under. This is a monster game here. I mean, when you're looking at this game, you're looking at a 48.5. I think it goes over that. And this is 11-4, 13-2. This is the game of the week that I can't wait to see. And I think Jaden Reed's going to come back like the first 4 weeks of the season here, but he's just hard to trust. Number 33, and I got to apologize. I was calling Xavier Worthy a boomer bust guy. He was for the first, 8 weeks of the season. He's gotten a floor now. He's gotten a 10-point floor over the past couple games, found the end zone in a 20-point game last week. But you also have Hollywood Brown emerging with more snaps. You have DeAndre Hopkins. You have Travis Kelce. So it's super hard to know who's going to pop out of these 3 besides Patrick Mahomes, right? So, I mean, I'm still going to put him at 33. Yes, he's a flex play. Do I love it? Do I hate it? It's right in the middle. Number 34, Khalil Shakir, and Josh Allen better wake up here, man. That's not a good look heading into the playoffs. I know they got the win, but the Patriots almost stomped them, man. It was very, very ugly. The Buffalo Bills are now, this should be like a get-right game. They're playing the Jets. I mean, the Jets are done. They have nothing to fight for. They're just playing monkey out their back free football. The Jets are very good versus the wide receiver too. I mean, they're number 4. They rank 4th, 29.2 points, 134.2 yards, which is top 5, 70% chance of a touchdown, which is top 5. Tough matchup. I just hope Josh Allen can turn it around here. Number 36, Jacoby Myers of the Las Vegas Raiders with Aiden O'Connell, and they just decided to lose their first-round pick last week. For some reason, they wanted to win the game. The matchup is amazing here versus the Saints. So the Saints ranked 27th. They give up 36 points, 169.3 yards, which is bottom 5. But what you have to look at, and I really like Jacoby Myers as a flex play. What you have to look at here is, dude, Brock Bowers is going for records on records. And there's 2 games left. There's nothing left in the season. I think it's just going to be the Brock Bowers show all the way. Do I like Jacoby as a flex play? Yes. I wouldn't start him over, the people on the board just purely because I like Brock Bowers to go absolutely nuclear in these last 2 games to just shatter all the records. Now, my gut call. Remember, I almost forgot, man. I had to come back and record it. My gut call. I'm not going to put Amari Cooper in my top 36. The man that had a 14-target game and then just decided to disappear for the fantasy playoffs. But if there's one thing I know about Amari Cooper, is he can have that big championship game where he just drops 30, 40, 50 points. Do I trust it in any single way versus the New York Jets? No, I do not. This is just a gut feeling that Amari Cooper goes nuclear in the championship. And there's nothing I can show you. Nothing I can show you defensively. Nothing I can show you stats-wise. Nothing I can show you, period. I mean, this guy's had 2 targets over the past 2 games. Nothing. I'm just going to say that I have a gut feeling if you're ballsy enough to make the start, and I'm not even doing it myself. This is, again, just a gut feeling that Amari Cooper goes wild in the fantasy football championship. Thanks for rocking with me today, guys. That is the end of the episode. That is my wide receiver top 36 for the Fantasy Football Championships. Before we head out, guys, make sure you smash that like. Make sure you smash that subscription. I'm grinding today on Christmas Eve to get everything out to you guys before Christmas. Tomorrow, all the support be greatly appreciated. Again, you guys have been absolutely amazing with all the support you've shown me this season. It's been beyond, above and beyond. I can't thank you guys enough. Merry Christmas, happy holidays to you and your families. I will get my top 20 tight end video out next because I don't think you're going to be looking at the bottom 10 tight ends. I usually do top 30, but I'm not going to do that here because it's the championship week. And that's it for me. I hope to see you guys in the next one, man. Sleazeball out.